Welcome to War of the Mind podcast with Loren Johnson, your weekly dose of real-life experience for you, by you, giving listeners the chance to share their story while helping others, and giving us all the opportunity to listen or be silent no more, paving the way for War of the Mind to share these life stories of struggles to triumphs, failures to promise. Here, we are all one, and as one, we can overcome life's journey towards finding our purpose.
And welcome back to another episode of War of the Mind. I'm your host, Loren Johnson. Today we're going to be covering understanding grief, struggles, importance, self-care, and solutions to grief. So, and then we'll go into detail, what I've been going through as far as grief. And it's a huge reason we haven't had a show here recently. And then also we, covered, like I said, the struggles of grief, introduction, definitions, how to become resilient to grief, and some self-care tips along with solutions. So grief is a universal human experience characterized by intense sorrow, typically in response to loss of a loved one. It encompasses a range of emotions, including sadness, anger, guilt, and despair. Understanding grief is crucial as it's, the affects individuals physically, emotionally, psychologically. So during the show, we'll explore the nature of grief, the struggles associated with it, its importance, some self-care strategies, and solutions for managing grief effectively. So grief is, a response to loss, particularly the loss of someone or something significant. It can manifest in various forms, including just generalized grief, complicated grief, disenfranchised grief. You can have grief that occurs before an impending loss, while complicated grief is prolonged. It's a more intense form of grief that impedes normal functioning. Disenfranchised grief arises when one's loss is not socially recognized or validated. So the grieving process. The grieving process is often described in stages. You have denial, you have anger, you have bargaining, you have depression, and acceptance. However, these stages are not linear, and individuals may experience them in different orders or revisit certain stages multiple times. Understanding that grief is a personal and unique journey, it's essential for those who are grieving and those supporting them. Now, the struggles of grieving, emotional struggles is one. Emotional struggles during grieving are profound and varied. Individuals may feel overwhelming sadness, anger, guilt, and even relief. The intensity of these emotions can be exhausting and disorienting. Grievers might also experience anxiety and fear about the future without the loved one. Next is physical and psychological struggles. Grief can manifest physically through symptoms of like fatigue, insomnia, changes in appetite, a weakened immune response. Psychologically, grievers may suffer from depression, post-traumatic stress, and a sense of hopelessness. Cognitive functions such as concentration and memory can also be impaired. Next is social and cultural struggles. Socially, grievers may feel isolated, as others around them may not understand their pain or may avoid them due to discomfort. Cultural expectations and norms can further complicate grief, dictating how one should grieve and potentially invalidating personal experience of loss. The importance of grieving. Now, for psychological and emotional healing, grieving is crucial for emotional and psychological healing. It allows individuals to process their loss, acknowledge their pain, and begin to adjust to life without their loved one. Suppressing grief can lead to unresolved emotions, which may manifest later as mental health issues. Building resilience. Engaging in grieving process can foster resilience. Through grief, individuals often develop coping mechanisms and gain a deeper understanding of their strengths and vulnerabilities. The resilience is vital for navigating future challenges and losses. Honoring lost loved one. Grieving is also an act of honoring the relationship with the deceased. It affirms the significance of the lost loved one and the impact they had on the griever's life. This process can include rituals, memorials, personal reflection, all of which can contribute to a meaningful farewell. Self-care during grief. Emotional self-care is one. This involves allowing oneself to feel and express emotions without judgment. This can be facilitated through talking with trusted friends or family members, journaling, or engaging in creative activities that can allow for emotional expression. Physical self-care is often neglected during grief. It is essential for overall well-being. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, and balanced diet can help mitigate some physical symptoms of grief. Mindfulness practices such as meditation and yoga can also support physical and emotional health. Next, we have social self-care. Maintaining social connections is crucial, even if it feels challenging. Seeking support groups where individuals share similar experiences can provide an understanding. It's important to communicate needs to friends and family, allowing them to offer appropriate support. Solutions for managing grief. One is professional support. Seeking professional help from therapists or counselors counselors trained in grief can be invaluable. Therapy provides a safe place to explore emotions, develop coping strategies, receive validation for one's experience. Specialized therapies such as CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or grief-specific interventions can address complicated grief. Support groups is another one for managing grief. Support groups offer a community of individuals who have experienced similar losses. These groups provide a sense of belonging and understanding that can be difficult to find elsewhere. Sharing stories, coping strategies in a group setting can reduce feelings of isolation, provide practical support. Next is rituals and memorials. Engaging in rituals and creating memorials can, help in the processing of grief. These acts provide a structure for expressing emotions and honoring deceased. They can be religious, private, and can include activities such as lighting candles, creating memory books, or participating in commemorative events. Another way is managing grief is mindfulness and meditation. Mindfulness and meditation practices can help grievers stay present with their emotions and reduce anxiety. These practices encourage a compassionate awareness of one's experience, promoting acceptance, and reducing the tendency to ruminate on the past or fear of the future. And lastly is creative expression. Art, music, writing, and other forms of creative expression can be therapeutic during grief. These activities allow individuals to express their emotions in nonverbal ways, often uncovering feelings that are difficult to articulate. Allowing yourself to grieve, accepting grief as a natural process is huge. Understanding that grief is a natural and necessary response to loss is fundamental. Acceptance allows individuals to engage with their emotions without guilt or pressure to move on prematurely. It's important to recognize that grief has no set timeline, and that each person's process is unique. Setting realistic expectations for oneself during grief involves acknowledging that healing is gradual. It's important to be patient and gentle with oneself, allowing time to process emotions and adjust to, the new realities, recognizing the small steps forward can provide encouragement and hope. Seeking and accepting support, it allows you to seek and accept support is crucial. Friends, family, support groups, professionals can all play a huge role in the healing process. Communicating needs and accepting help can alleviate some of the burdens of grief. And provide, that essential emotional support. Grief is a profound and complex experience that affects individuals, on multiple levels. Understanding the nature and the struggle is crucial for effective coping and healing. The importance of grieving lies in its role in the emotional healing, resilience building, and honoring lost loved ones. Self-care practices and seeking support are essential strategies for managing grief, but ultimately allowing yourself to grieve is a compassionate acknowledgement of the depth of one's loss and steps towards healing. Through patience, support, and self-care, individuals can navigate their grief and find a path to a new normal. Recently I wasn't doing any episodes. It's been about a month and a half. Still hard to talk about. But I recently lost my wife to addiction. It's been a huge struggle in itself, allowing myself to grieve. It was, sudden. It was unexpected, and it doesn't get easy. And, I've had my ways of coping with the grief. I've already went through the denial, the anger. It's been a struggle. Dealing with these emotions. I've went from, wanting to talk to individuals about it to not wanting to even get out of bed and face the world. Losing that significant other or someone close to you is devastating when it's taken away, and especially if it's someone you hold near and dear and have an endless love for them. But for me, the only peace of mind I find out of it is knowing that she's at peace, not struggling with her addiction, not struggling with her mental health. It's basically the only peace of mind I have as far as losing her. It's just devastating to be planning, or 1 minute leaving for the day, and your last words are "I love you," to not hearing from them and then finding them passed away. And that's been a huge struggle is there's so many questions and unleft. There's so much time left that could have been spent together, and can't. And I know it's going to be a struggle moving forward, and I just keep telling myself with each day it's going to get easier. But I have my moments where I sit and wonder how I can move forward. And then I have moments of guilt because how do I get to move forward, but she doesn't? Guilt that in that grieving process of not knowing how you should feel in the moment, like asking yourself, is it okay to laugh? Is it okay to cry? Is it okay to be angry? And all those questions are okay. And the biggest thing that's going to help me get through this is knowing that I've been resilient in the past. And also the fact that I just have to take one day at a time and go moment to moment, basically. And realize that this is part of life. As bad as it may hurt and be painful, it sucks, I will not lie. And grief is tough. And I have to remember to allow myself to grieve. So if you're out there grieving a lost loved one, allow yourself to grieve. Don't be afraid to reach out to your supports, whether professionally or your family or your support groups. Don't be afraid to ask for help and talk to someone. It's okay to, be sad, angered, in denial, sense of relief. Where you run into trouble is when you don't allow yourself to grieve and allow these emotions to build up. And so, with that, this is another episode of War of the Mind on grief, and check out our website, ljvoiceproject.com. War of the Mind is under the podcast page. Also, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under LJ Voice Project. This show's produced by LJ Voice Project. So, with that being said, keep hope alive, and, like we talked about, don't be afraid to ask for help when you're grieving, and allow yourself to grieve. And remember that it's okay to grieve, and you're allowed that. I want to thank you for listening to another episode of War of the Mind. I'm your host, Loren Johnson, and we'll see you soon. And I want to thank you all for listening to the show today. I appreciate all the views, and just go ahead and don't forget to share with your friends and family, and don't forget to like us on Facebook, The Voice Project, and we're also on Twitter at LJ Voice Project, and we also check out our email. Our website is ljvoiceproject.com. Email is contactus@ljvoiceproject.com. Or we also have Loren, Loren Johnson @ljvoiceproject.com. We're also on Instagram. All of those. Just write us on our webpage, and we can easily get back to you. Just leave us a phone number. Our WhatsApp phone numbers on there as well. So feel free to contact us. We're always available and free to answer. So I really hope to hear from you soon.